No, it will be beer.
Yeah.
You've gone this far, you may as well.
Right, you might as well just try it.
Yeah.
The only dumping point is the 175, right?
Does not work.
Yeah, so the only time we've ever had to dump a beer or dump some beer is like scorching, right? Or we have a temperature when we're mashing, right? That 175 mark.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bitterness and nasty taste.
That should be when it's time.
Then you dump it, yeah. So we'll start over.
Yeah, we've also had beer that we just simply didn't dump.
Yeah.
And it's like, we start out, there's 5 gallons of it, and then we start out like, oh, we should really drink this though. You know, and we're sitting around like, drinking this beer.
It does not happen.
Not
We get through a couple of pints, you're like, you know what, we're dumping this.
It doesn't meet our expectations.
And so from there, if you're going to try to cook a new brew out of that same recipe, we know what to kind of fluctuate, or do you just dump the whole project?
You hope that you took good notes during your brew session, right? And so all these steps that you see us taking measurements, there's a lot more measurements that go into, like, if you're changing something, like you want to make sure that you have all those temperatures and all of the timing down, so you know if you look back, like, okay, it was probably this that made this happen.
The beers that you guys have back there, where are the changes that you guys normally, in the process, where do you guys change them in the process?
Well, we'll change things based on what that tastes like, right? So we'll change them in all steps of the process. So we may want to change the temperature in which we are fermenting at, change the temperature in which we're mashing at. A lot of it is temperature. A lot of those changes happen with different temperatures. But some of it is also ingredients, right? So we can change out the hops, we can change out the yeast, we can change out the malt characteristics. So if we want a more malty character, we might add a little bit more of a certain type of malt, or if we want less malty character and more hop character, we may scale back the malts or add more hops. There's so many things, there's thousands and thousands.
It seems like, one formula.
Yeah.
You could
Before I was like,
fluctuate
because it was like, you know,
Throw it in.
That's why it's so amazing.
he's like there to explain it.
This is why we're doing this. Don't do this.
Yeah,
It's always the same.
If that happens, it's
It's so
not a
hard.
big deal.
That means
Yeah,
that
that's
these guys
happened.
are
Don't
great.
do that.
Do not.
If you're with beer, the
Well, that one's okay.
Yeah.
But the first thing's like, do not do that. So that 175 is like a better.
So I know the purpose
For the initial boil with the grain.
is for sessions. Not the whole process. Yeah, but you have the capability during this process to limit the amount of alcohol. So what is the purpose?
Probably get your six pack around the same time.
It depends on what you're doing. So there's not a lot of people out in the world in general that want a 9% beer. Right? So what the masses want is like a small beer or something that they can have a bunch of them, you know, while they're out mowing their lawn. It's like, it's the thing. But you just want to hang out and drink beer. You don't want to be like sloppy drunk with beer.
Right.
So, however, there are people out there that also like to drink stouts, and those are always heavy beers.
Right.
So you have to just kind of, as a person who's drinking with your buddies, if I'm drinking a 9% stout and everyone else has Budweisers, they're going to go through a couple before I finish my stout, you know? Otherwise, you know, you're not doing a beer bong with
Yeah, I know.
right.
9%.
Here I am on my stop trying to catch up. I've done that actually. Yeah.
So with that same regard, you can brew like dark beers that are light as well. It's not just the color, it's just the amount of alcohol.
Yeah.
Right? So how you measure that is gravity measurement. So we took that gravity and then developed transit how much alcohol we have.
So do you guys say, hey, let's make something session wise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's cut it down a little bit. Let's get to like 6%.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have several of those. It's different, you know, everybody's a little different, and we want to have something for everyone.
Right.
So I'm sort of a strange type. If I go into a brewery, I want to have a high ABV stout. That's what I like to drink. So, but
RIS.
yeah, I mean, it's like, man, if I see
Wait, the higher is the more sweet guy.
that's
12%.
That's the Belgian quadruple. What is that? I gotta know.
Yeah.
So with the one beer, Now go ahead and ask everybody. Like one beer that got me into the world of like, oh, something beyond Corona Budweiser was someone gave me a Chimay Blue Label.
Oh yeah.
And I tasted it and I was like, like this one bottle, right? Big bottle.
Yep.
I couldn't even go through it. I was like, oh my God. But that opened the whole world to me. Like that's something different.
Yeah.
What was your? Did you guys have like a beer?
Yeah, honestly, Newcastle. I was like in my early 20s. I was Tecate, Dos Equis, Negra Modelo.
Yeah.
I mean, those are still my favorites. But when I drank Newcastle, I was like, wow, okay, it's something different, but I could still throw them back like I do with the Dos Equis or something.
Yeah.
But it was a whole different spectrum. So Newcastle was kind of what threw me into it right there.
I was like you, Hispanic from LA, so
Yeah.
But I think it was that first
Send it
one.
out. You know what that was?
Yeah, the first one I was like, hey, this is different, and then I went from there. So that was like early 20s.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit you with a hipster answer because y'all don't know this one.
Yeah, man, not everyone knows.
Fireman's Ford, Austin, Texas. It's a local brewery called Rio Blanco out there. It's just a blonde ale. There's really nothing all that distinctive about it. But I would say that was probably my entry into everything other than Keystone.
Kind of this why I fucking wear this shirt is the Sheets Black Beef Porter. First time I had that, what the fuck is this? It's like coffee on steroids, but with alcohol.
Yeah.
Black Beef Porter, and I had that the year before I moved to Portland. And going to the Northwest and seeing the rise of the porters and stouts and IPAs.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Black Beef was like lit a fire in my ass. That was it.
How about for you guys?
Yeah.
I mean, mine honestly was Ice House. The first time I
I didn't realize it was something that Jason.
Colt 45.
We're going
Good help. Yeah, I started playing rugby, and so those guys sort of got me into like, hey, there's a whole new world of beer. They would always have some light beer like Miller Lite, and we're slamming them and doing whatever, people holding you by your ankles and doing this stuff. But then after you get done doing that silly shit, they're like, all right, now let's have a real beer, and it was always Guinness. So it's like everybody's drinking a Guinness, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. And
That's what I stopped at.
that was it. That was it. Yeah. Oh, I love it. So yeah.
The texture of it, I mean, will like make like,
Guinness.
damn, this nice little velvet.
Yeah, a lot of
It is.
Guinness has nitrogen in it, so it's,
Yeah.
nitrous is
25%.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's nitrous in it.
It's like manly, drinking manly.
Yeah.
It's
just-
nitrous is something.
It's awesome.
And that's
At what point do they
find
find
that?
that?
So the carbonation step, so like CO2, you have a little bit of nitrogen in there as well. So nitrogen, CO2 mix. I guess for me, the beers that really got me into craft was probably some of the stuff from Moose Island, which was a microbrewery in Chicago at the time. They're huge now, they got bought out now. But, yeah, I had some buddies who did some distribution would always bring over like the leftovers. And so I would have people over my house and they'd bring all this craft beer over, and I was like, what is all this? Like, I have tastes of like a cake in my life. And so I was drinking that, and that's what probably transitioned me was Goose Island beer. I don't drink it much now, but yeah, Goose Island was it. But then I was also homebrewing too, so like I kind of had my own craft that I was doing, so I was kind of still experimenting with that. But the homebrew aspect of it was amazing.
It's funny how no one forgets that. At first.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, I think a big narrative or topic of craft is, well, one of the big aspects is supporting the local breweries, the regional breweries for that matter, and that's kind of like been what's financially supported craft beer in the United States over the last, well, definitely since the inception of the last 5 or 10 years, now that we have Founders and Bells in California, they're not regional, so there's still, they still make great beer. Like, when you guys, you feel like they're encroaching, or is it
No,
more?
I don't think any beer that's made is bad beer, right? There's beer that I don't like to drink, but no beer is bad beer. Like,
Right.
so like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, yeah. Prohibition,
Yeah.
I don't know how people survive.
But yeah, so the craft beer market was huge before Prohibition.
Yeah.
And then Prohibition happened, and obviously dropped to like almost nothing, and then it's began its revival now. Now we're above the number of breweries that used to be before Prohibition. There was close to 2,000 breweries before Prohibition. Now we're like approaching. Yeah, come back up to that. And so it took forever to recover. So we finally broke that threshold. I think we're close to 3,000 now, maybe 4,000 breweries in the country.
They were saying something like in the 90s they were on 2.
Yeah, it's really been the last 20, 30 years where it's really picked up. Those big breweries had such a big run for it, they just had the capacity and scale, and they had no competition, right?
Was
So,
Samuel Adams the first to hit?
I think Sam Adams is one of the first
Started to get
really
the
first craft
brewery around, since Prohibition. Probably one of the first. Did some really great stuff. It was a big step for them, to take on the big breweries,
There's some like strange steps in brewing. It's all the big breweries were brewing, and then Prohibition happened, and we sort of had to start over. And the big ones were the ones that survived.
Yes.
They could turn over big non-alcoholic, beverages. And then we get into a situation where you've got big breweries that are starting up, and then you've got Sam Adams that shows up and like, hey, you can make something different. Then you've got Dogfish Head that shows up and it's like, check this out. Like he's going about the countryside and so I'm putting a little bit of this and that. And now people are like, wow, you can really make some really interesting beers. It doesn't have to be a Miller, it doesn't have to be a Coors or my favorite Ice House or whatever it is.
Here in Nevada, with like the West Coast, that's San Adam.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam Adams was
I think they were kind of on the same parallel in terms of the footprint. Let's make a beer that's not water. Cactus.
Right.
People
What are you doing temperature over here?
We're at 79.
Oh, perfect. We're getting down there. All right, we're just about there. It's pretty close.
Just below 80.
Yeah. All right, so this is full of sanitizer water.
From there, okay.
Yeah,
We're at 80.
delicious sanitizer water.
You can drink it if you want.
Yeah, it's okay to drink. Just
Apparently we're at 525 gallons on the beer now.
It's just about a 25 pack or 24 pack, however you want to.
All right, so we're gonna set this aside. And then we're also gonna sanitize. So sanitation is really key at this point, right? So
Yes.
we're gonna take these scissors and we're also gonna put them in some sanitizer water. And get any of the sugar that's on here off of there. Alright, so we'll get these nice and sanitized now. And then we're also going to take our yeast packet.
Yeah, man.
We're going to sanitize this too. This is sealed.
Why?
So we just want to sanitize that.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay.
And so the sanitizer water just has to be in contact with the solution for at least 2 minutes.
When I was there.
So that's sanitary now. And so we can take the rest of this. We don't need any more of this anymore. So we can take that and dump that in there.
So you sanitize the yeast package as well.
Yeah, just the outside of it.
Because of your fingerprint.
Fingerprints,
Yeah.
everything, yeah.
Everything.
So, yep. So just to make sure it's nice and clean, the scissors that are gonna cut that open. Just wanna make sure we're nice and clean there.
Cheers.
And this is gonna be our filling tube that we'll use to fill. So, okay.
Now you don't have to rinse after you sanitize?
It's a no rinse sanitizer.
No rinse.
Because if you think about it, if you rinsed, there is some bacteria that is in
That'll go in the water. You would have to
Yeah.
re-sanitize anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
Okay,
so you want to avoid any of those contaminants too. That's the importance of a no rinse sanitizer.
irony.
Yeah, you don't want to
Okay.
rinse it.
I'm a person from Texas who made this playlist in collaboration with a person from Chicago.
All right, so we're almost the temperature there, right? Yeah, we're still pretty close there. It's about perfect.
Nice. So we're about to drop
So
the
I'm just
kettle.
going to shut this off. So now we've killed that, and so if you guys just want to open that valve there,
Do
you
the honor, sir.
Pitch.
Open it all the way.
All right.
Wonderful.
Now the liquid from the sanitizer.
Oh yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
affect?
Not at all.
No, okay.
Yeah.
So just, wow.
Yep. So we're gonna kind of let it. We kind of want to let it drop a little bit.
Now,
we
us
kind of
being
want, we
around
want
it-
aeration, right? So we want to make at this step in the process, we want to make sure we get a lot of air in the beer because yeast likes oxygen. So you want to oxygen as much as you can at this particular step.
Now, us being around it, that won't cause any
Contaminated?
contamination?
No, there's such a little. I mean, a little bit will drop in there, right? So obviously this is open air right now. A little bit of contamination is going to happen. Very, 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 very tiny amount, right? You're not even gonna notice it. So if you think about how much bacteria is in the open air, it's a very small amount. But we're adding a bunch of yeast to this, right? So we're adding like 2 million yeast cells to this particular batch of beer. And so the yeast is going to overcome any other bacteria that gets in there for the most part.
So it won't be necessary to be like anal with it and cover
No,
it?
no,
Just
no.
keep
You
it-
just
Okay.
you want to be pretty secure with it.
Lee, would you stop breathing so goddamn much?
Stop breathing, right?
Hold your breath for 15 minutes.
There are a couple breweries that do open air fermentation,
Okay.
where they will have a fermentation vessel like this and just leave it open, put the yeast in there. And ale yeast particularly are a top cropping yeast, so the yeast is active at the very top of the vessel, so it kind of creates a protective bed against the yeast, against the beer. Yeah.
So you just
Get a
skim off the
shot of
bird
that.
crap and there you go.
Okay.
This gives us, what, 5 gallons?
Yeah, so it'll be about 5 gallons, might be a little bit less, or a little bit more depending on how much we get out of the vessel here.